What's up, freaks? Welcome back to another episode of The Frequency. It's your girl, of course, Portia Renee. We are back. 2025. Hello. How y'all doing? Y'all okay? A lot has happened since January 1st. And a lot is probably happening right now as I record. A lot. So I just want to check in. Make sure y'all good. We good? Now, I know. Sorry for the wait. Sorry for the delay. Thank you for the reach outs. But listen, life was lifing in 2025. I had to get over being sick as shit. Had to move. Had to handle some business. But we are back. And to kick it off, I got a special episode for y'all. This is actually a crossover episode with me and my good guys over at Another Week in the Books podcast, Spike Lou and K Rich. Or are we calling him Kyron now? I gotta ask him. But either way, check them out. I'm honored to say I have been asked to be a reoccurring guest, the first lady of the pod, if you will. So I'm excited. Honestly, I think the frequency listeners, the freaks, and the bookworms, as they call their listeners, are all cousins. Like, first cousins who used to hang out at Granny's house together when the parents used to just drop them off and dip out. You know what I'm saying? It's the perfect marriage for great conversation. So we'll be cross-podding at least once a month, and I want y'all to check them out. Like, seriously. Now listen, I will say, I'm not recommending no BS to y'all. These aren't just two men with a mic talking nonsense. I promise you. They're cousins, like, for real. They'll have you talking back to the mic just like I do. They'll, not back to the mic, Lord Jesus, back to the speakers, just like I do. They'll challenge you, make you think, and keep you accountable in a sense. Like, they truly check in. So it's an excellent pod, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So this is a crossover episode. We get into that man, Cam Newton, and I say man very lightly, okay? Very lightly. We also talk about navigating life, share some tips and tricks, and as millennial, ask the big question, like, now what? It was a dope conversation, and honestly, there was no solution, no real answer, and maybe that's the point. Maybe there should be a reason for everything, or maybe there's not. But either way, it's a discussion worth having, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. As always, you can catch me on Instagram. The Frequency does have an IG now, so you can follow at The Frequency Podcast #2. You can also follow me personally at Portia Renee with 2 underscores, PORTIA. And The Frequency is also on Facebook. And if you want to write in, because I know some of y'all like to get in my inbox, the email is thefrequencypodcast2@gmail.com. You can always DM me. Whatever your choice. And don't forget to follow Another Week in the Books. All right, let's get into it. Enjoy.
What's today? Today's Thursday that we're recording this. So, yeah, I'm 4 days straight. I've gone every day this week.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
I saw you on that treadmill, gasping for breath.
Man, gasping.
That's beautiful though. But here's the thing, Spike. It's beautiful because if you stay with it, which I believe you will, you're gonna look into it in about a month from now, especially 6 weeks from now. You're gonna look at that video. Oh, this is a breeze. You ready to add more time and all that stuff on there. Portia, speaking of the gym. Oh, my fault. Go ahead, Spike.
No, I was just gonna say I feel the difference from day one to today.
Yeah,
like I knocked it out easily today. It's like, okay.
You look like you lost 25 pounds in the face. I see it.
Yeah, I told you, man. 2 weeks. I know it's 21 days to build a habit, but when it came to the gym, it was 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, it was like, I can't miss. I'm building something now. I feel good.
It was like you said, today I was going like, I ain't gonna go today, I'll skip it, but then you don't feel right. After you go consecutively, you're like, nah, let me go and get that in. Let me go and knock a little 2 hours out. So,
Yep, and I'm the type that if I feel like that, I need somebody to get your bitch ass to the gym, bro. It's
right.
Not bullshit. I need that.
I had to say that to myself today. Get your ass up, nigga.
Man, get your ass up. What the fuck you doing, bro? I remember my boy used to always say, man, in the morning, like, man, I know your broke ass still ain't sleep. And I'd be like, you know what? It's a good enough reason to get out of bed. Straight up, man. If that don't get you out of bed, I don't know what does.
That right there wake a nigga up like Folgers.
Yeah,
like nigga
saying, all this money, you ain't got none of it, and you still sleeping? Niggas after this bread, I'm like, you know what? You're right. let me get on my shit. But speaking of the gym, Portia, I know you've been dealing with the. First and foremost, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Nice.
I know it was a rough start to the year, but I know you also been dealing with something that you really hate, which is the New Year resolution crowd.
Man,
are they still in the gym heavy? Are they still taking all your machines?
They really there. They decided we sticking it out at least until February. I was just testing the other day, like everywhere. They like roaches.
I'm surprised they're still there, man. Shout out to them. Like we should be applying them.
Yeah, get out my way.
This day last week. It usually wrap up about this time. Like it usually be over with.
And because we was talking about the gym, I actually listened to y'all last pod, and Rich, you inspired me a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, trying to get Spike in the gym. You gotta just, you know what I'm saying, push yourself and keep going. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what, I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I do get lazy. Like when I know, you could lift 45. But I'll be lazy and I do the 25. And of course you ain't gonna see no results or whatever. So I'm like, I gotta start cussing myself out. But I use ChatGPT to do my workouts now. Bam. It's up. It's up.
That's exactly
they tell you the weight, they tell you when to increase it, how many reps. You say you want to look like this is what you need to do. So
they'll even throw the meal plan in there. Like my ChatGPT, they gave the meal plan and everything.
Hold that thought real quick. We're gonna get right to that. I just want to throw this in there. Just for the gym update, still been going. To your point, Portia, I actually had to slow down just a tad bit because I need to stretch for one. That's one thing I definitely got to do. I gotta stretch, like before and after. Like, and I just don't like. I don't know what it is about stretching. I dislike it. It feels like a useless 10 minutes, even though I need it. But I also just was like, man, I had a couple little strains where I'm like, all right, man, there's no nigga, what you training for? You see them big swole niggas in the gym sometimes, like, what you competing for? Like, what you doing? Oh, I'm just saying, nigga, calm down. So I had to realize, like, all right, man, let me just make sure I'm in here consistent versus trying to increase too much and make sure I'm pacing myself. Because you always... I was in the office for the first time in about 5-6 weeks. I've been working from home and the holidays and all that stuff. So I hadn't seen some coworkers in a minute. As soon as I came in, when I was like, hey man, you look good. Like, and I was like, I bet. Like, I'm on it.
Back to the gym right now.
I know, but I want to flip back to ChatGPT. Isn't it amazing what AI can do? I remember when AI first became a conversation. Not first, but when it really became mainstream was the voice and scamming and all this other stuff. But once you actually play around with it, and that kept me away from ChatGPT for a minute, GPT, excuse me. And I started playing around with it, and I'm like, hold up, this is legit. Like it's almost too realistic. Yeah. And the more you use it, it picks up on kind of who you are and what your rhythm is and stuff like that. How do y'all feel about AI and overall? Because a lot of people would tell you, experts would tell you, you should embrace it and not fear it. But there's still a lot of people that's like, I ain't fucking with it. Obviously, y'all both use it. What are your overall thoughts on AI as a whole?
I
think it's a cheat code. Like if you embrace it and you, like you said, mold it to where it realizes some of the goals and things that you're trying to do. Because I can do one prompt and then go back and do some other prompt a couple of weeks later. It'll ask me, do I want to correlate the 2 prompts? Because I see that this is kind of like a plan or something that you're looking to do, a strategy, and I see that you do this as far as a profession. Would you like this strategy or plan to be catered to that profession? It's fire in that sense. I feel like you're gonna be left out in the cold if you're one of those people that's thinking, oh man, AI's scary, man. I don't know, like it's gonna take our jobs. Like, yeah, your job gonna get took. But if you figure out how to use it and make it benefit you, it's gonna be a hell of a tool.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like it's one of those, you either get with it or you really gonna get lost. Once my my corporate job did a meeting about how to utilize AI for the workplace. I'm like, oh, this ain't just a meeting. This is a warning. Y'all better learn how to talk to this AI. Y'all better learn how to do all of that, because it's a wave that's coming. So I would suggest, and it's like you said, it's very beneficial if you use it correctly. So,
and it's funny because this is going to tie into the theme of this episode. This is one of our first times as adults where we got to adjust. Like the way you've been doing it, the way you've been doing something your whole life, that shit's out the window now. So you either better get with it or get lost. And every generation has had that moment where it's computers. What's those? Like, I'm gonna keep my typewriter. You know what I mean? Like CDs, what are those? I'm gonna keep my cassettes. Like all that, everything happens, and it's just like, nah, nigga, that shit about to be outdated. It's about to be extinct. I know you like your DVDs, but all this shit coming to streaming now, like it just happens with these generations. So it's very interesting how that works.
To be honest, if you're not using ChatGPT already, you fucking up. For small stuff, you can use that shit for social media posts if you're trying to do stuff on social media.
I use it for the captions. I type my caption in and I let them clean it up.
Clean it up and make it like whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're not utilizing it, like just at least putting it in there for a prompt to see what you get back. And the thing is, the people that are fearful of it, my response would be like, it's not going to be able to replace skill. It still needs someone. AI still needs someone.
You gotta know how to talk to
off of. Right, like you got to know how to talk to it. You still have to have some sort of sense and know what you're looking for. And even when they spit out the results, you can still cater them to make them more authentic to you. So it's a must learn skill.
I just moved into a new place. This may be embarrassing, but fuck it. I just moved into a new place, and you know how you putting stuff up and you like, you get overwhelmed, but like, where should this go in the kitchen? I took a picture of my kitchen, labeled each drawer 1, 2, 3, 4, told them what I had. Where should this go? ChatGPT was like, well, since you like to cook, you should put the spatulas in drawer 1 and you should do this. I've been in the kitchen chefing. real ChatGPT, okay?
Listen, because that's the thing. I think I know for me personally, I speak from my personal experience. When I first started hearing about it, it was more so if you were trying to get something done in the workplace or something of that nature, right? Not just regular. You can, and I'm not lying to you. I've done it myself, not because I need it, but because I'm just curious what will say it. I put in ChatGPT once how to stop being a sucker, and it gives you a list of like, it depends on what kind of sucker. I promise you, put it in right now, and how to stop being a sucker. And it says it depends on what kind of sucker behavior you're trying to eliminate. But in general, and it gave me 10 things to work on.
I'm about to put that in. Hold on. I'm curious.
Set boundaries, trust actions, not words. And each one had their own little definition to it. That's just how crazy. You can really put in anything. Like, and it'll spit it back out to you, man. So, AI, this is just the way we into. It's crazy, right? Yeah, because I almost was like, how to stop being a bitch. Like, stop being a bitch and just see what it did. See what it says. But yeah, this is the new wave. Pay attention to all this stuff. Crypto, all of it. I know it's all confusing. The more knowledge you get before you make a move will be sufficient. But now it's the wave to get in all this stuff. Which this is a new, I ain't gonna say new, I'm not a tech expert, but it feels like there's a lot of things on the horizon. And we'll see what's going on with it. But enough about all that, man. Portia, it's been a while. What's up, man? How you been feeling? How you been doing? Doing our monthly check-in.
I've been doing good. I've been 2025 is my year of preparation. I've dedicated that. Just trying to be the woman, like putting in the steps to be the woman that I see in the future. Like, I'm a huge procrastinator. Huge. So now, like, even the small stuff, like if I see something, usually I'll be like, I'll get that when I come back. Like, now I just grab it. Like, I'm trying to get out of the procrastination, the laziness, just to, just be better. You know what I'm saying? Just putting in like the little steps. So it's been fun. It's been challenging as hell. But like every day I journal in my iPhone and I'm like, I did better today. I could have cussed this person out, but I didn't. I did it this way. Or, just taking different routes to where I'm going, like seeing new stuff. I'm just trying to elevate a little bit.
How many people you cuss out a week, Portia?
In my head.
In real life, I was just about to say in real life or in her head. I don't think any of us can count that high in her head.
Woo! That's funny.
I've been doing real good. I haven't cussed nobody out this year.
That's cool. That's funny.
Yeah, no. Boundaries.
I know you have some moments that, hey, that's step number one according to ChatGPT, set boundaries. Nah, that's really dope, man. That's really dope to just kind of see you already have a vision for what it's going to look like and just kind of make it there. I'm curious to know, because procrastination is something that a lot of people deal with. What's been working for you so far in these first, 30 days of the month or 30 days of the year? Anything in particular? Have you seen any change or growth with yourself? Because that's a big internal thing, right? You can say it all day, but until you actually start doing it day by day, it's going to be the same type of habits.
For sure. So like, actually it happened this week, actually. So I put myself to the test because I'm always put on special projects at work because they know I can get it done. But if it's due on Tuesday at 2:00, I'm doing it on Tuesday at 8:00 in the morning. Like, just because I have a cockiness to me, in a sense, like I can get this shit done. It ain't never failed me before. So it's like I just do it.
Exactly.
Like if it don't fail me, I'm not gonna change it. But because of what I'm trying to do, they put me on this project, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start typing the notes now. And what I come to find is I had everything down, and if I was to procrastinate and just present what I had, I would have been cool. But once I started working on it a few days before, I'd be like working. I'm like, oh, I can add this in there. So like it continues to get better. So I'm mind playing myself to be like, yo, you are good procrastinating, but you prove it to yourself you are great when you just plan it out. So I'm just trying to use my cocky to be like, don't be good, be great, and just
Nah, man, that's
try
real.
like that. It's been working.
That's real. Nah, you want to be Bron or you want to be Carlos Boozer? They both in the league, but there's a difference. You know what I mean? There's a difference. I'm just saying. That's dope though, man. I'm glad that you're doing that and just taking that daily challenge. It's funny, we talk about, I just celebrated a birthday this past Sunday, and it's the best that I've felt physically, mentally, spiritually, all three. Even going back to like November, like a couple months ago. Like I remember Spike, bro. Remember we had a conversation where I forget which chapter it was, and I was just like, man, are you happy? Like, are you just happy? Like, and we had that whole conversation about, it's not necessarily about being happy or sad. It's just, you just find a way to coast through life. And we talked about having to find create your own happiness, because, you know, as a youth, it's just kind of every day. And then you realize, man, this life shit ain't easy. And I feel real good. I say for about the past 5 or 6 years, I've really been trying to focus on being present. And it's always escaping. For some reason, I just can never do it. And this is for the first year, I'm completely at peace with where I am. Like, I really feel I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I really feel I'm not looking ahead. I'm not looking behind. Like, I'm just enjoying what's going on right now, planning for the future, and then making sure I'm doing everything daily to execute. And even last week, I think, Spike, Portia, you mentioned, the last week, I think we talked about, or maybe we didn't talk about this on air. Maybe it was just a you and I conversation where I mentioned, like, we got to start recording, like, things throughout the month, because it's easy to forget. Right? It's easy to forget. Like, I guarantee you right now, tomorrow, Saturday's February 1st. All three of us, we probably look at each other and say, hey, what did you accomplish in January? We're all going to be like, maybe a couple of things to rattle off. Maybe a couple of things we can rattle off, but I'm sure there's more things that we did, and I want to really start keeping track of that. But it does feel good just to kind of have your feet planted and just, this is what's in front of you, and I feel good about everything. What's up?
I'm curious. I want to ask you something. With what you just said about, like, you just feel like you are where you're supposed to be at, your feet planted.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did you just wake up one day and it was just like,
get out of my brain? I was going to ask him the same thing. I said, get out of my brain. I was going to ask him the same thing. Like, what are the contributors to that? Like, you named a couple of things, but what were the major contributions to you feeling that way?
I say at the end of last year, I was just at a point, I think it probably started with the move. And Portia, both of y'all can attest to this because you both have moved out of the city and out of state well before I did. But there is something to be said about trying to figure it out. Not saying you don't have anybody or any support, but you really out here thugging it, and you don't want to. I know both of you well enough to know, that foolish pride can run deep. And nigga, I will walk barefoot 10 miles before I ask somebody for a ride, and I don't know what it is. It's just
I got some foolish pride stories for you, my brother.
Yeah, it's just kind of what it is. But it was a lot of that was just, man, trying to figure it out. And then I look around, and my job, I love what I do. I think that was the first domino. Like, all right, that's something that I can really look at and say, all right, where you are in life, and this is probably part of it too. Really just taking inventory of what's going on and where I am in life. So the same way I just said how I feel present, I really just had to stop and be like, man, can you, like, here's the one thing about being older. You don't picture being this. When we were 16, 17, the way we looked at 40, and I'm not 40 yet, so chill. But the way we looked at 40 and 45, like, you think that's old, and then you start hitting 35, 36, 37, 38, you're like, oh, I still feel like in high school. I matured, like I'm more intelligent. There's other factors to me, but I still feel like 18-year-old me. Like, that hasn't changed, right? And then you feel, you start getting nostalgic, and you start looking at the past, and it's like, damn, like, that feels like yesterday. Shit that happened 2 years ago, you thinking it happened, or excuse me, shit you saying that happened 2 years ago was really 7 years ago. You know what I mean? People start bringing up 2016, and you thinking like, oh yeah, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah. Damn, 10 years ago.
You thinking like, damn, how was that the case? Or how did I take this trip? I'm already talking about like my 30th. I remember my 30th birthday, and I'm like, hold up, that was 2017. Like, that shit's crazy. That shit feels like it happened yesterday.
Those high school reunion invites to remind you too.
They remind you ASAP. 20 years this year. That doesn't make sense. Make sense. So when I look at all of that, it was just kind of one of those moments where I had to stop for a second. I was almost forced. But hold on, how did you even get to where you at? Like, how did you even get here this day? And you start thinking about everything you've done, and it's like, I bet. I really got a good life, man. I'm blessed. Like, God's blessed me. I've been around good people like my entire life, able to do things that I want to do. And I've done all of this without being intentional about it. What's going to happen if I actually wake up and I'm intentional about what it is that I want to do? When I really say, all right, and I think I told you this, Spike, there were things that happened, particularly in the podcast space, that I'm like, oh shit. Like, I never thought this would happen, but it did. So if I'm thinking too low, we already had the conversation. Nobody's laughing at us. Like, for those who don't get the reference, they tell you, if you tell people your dreams and they ain't laughing at you, you ain't dreaming big enough.
You ain't dreaming big enough.
Spike and myself had a conversation one day about, man, nobody's laughing at us, bro. We playing it too safe. And I really started writing some things down, and you saw it yesterday, probably both of you. I know you did, Spike, because you acknowledged it. I put a nip, like, I don't know if the nip actually, it was a nip quote, it was a tweet, like, man, do something every day that you're scared of, that you're fearful of. Like, you got to kill fear. And I'm just doing that. I'm just diving into a lot of more things, and I'm just more comfortable with just, it is what it is. I don't really give a fuck. Like, it is what it is, y'all. Like, who cares? So what? Like, none of this shit really in the grand scheme. It's all a big nothing. In a certain way. So while I'm here, let me maximize this shit and push this shit to the limit. My biggest fear right now is to die wondering, right? Or to have some shit figured out and be like, man, I wonder what would happen if fuck that, do that shit. Oh well, every mistake, I can say right now, 38 years of mistake, I bounced back from every one of them. I figured all that shit out. So there's nothing to fear. And I think just having that mentality and reaching that moment of, all right, just stop, relax, like, think about things. And then, like I said, piece by piece adds up. And I'm like, all right, if I do all this on mistake, what's going to happen if I do things on purpose? And really writing it down. That was the biggest key for me. Writing it down and really doing what I said I was going to do. Like, it sounds good to say you go to the gym, but when you start, and that's all you need is one domino. I know I talk about the gym. It could be whatever. It could be eating clean. It could be going on a walk. It could be journaling, something, reading a book, starting a hobby. Like, telling yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm committing to it. And once you start that first domino knockdown, and you just tell yourself, oh, I can do this. This is easy. Now what? Right? So now the gym happens. So now for me, my next thing is I got to start eating better. Like, and I know I can do it because I just did it with the gym. I saw what happened when I put my mind to some shit and I'm locked in. All right, cool. Now what else can I lock in on? I got to lock in on this meal plan. So because I'm already getting the pieces. It's like when you were a kid, you get the toy, but you ain't got no batteries. Like, all I'm doing in the gym don't mean shit if I'm gonna keep coming home and eating a certain way. And it ain't even every day, but too many days a week I'm eating like trash. And I'm really just canceling out what I just did in the gym. So all of that stuff just adds up. I know that's a very long-winded answer, but
no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
The food part is really the hard part, like always people say, because it's the convenience of it. Like, you mean to tell me I got to go to the grocery store, pay this money, and I got to go cook it, and I might not even eat it tomorrow? Like, the meal plan shit is cool for me, but I really don't even like leftovers. And I'm a really picky eater. So my thing is, I just have to find stuff, and I know I can do it like what you just said, but I have to find stuff that fits for me, to like maybe a quick meal or something of that nature that I can prepare myself with. I know one of the biggest reasons for my bad eating habits is convenience. Like, I know I can go grab this, it'll take 5 minutes and I'll eat it, it'll be done, I'll be full, it's cool. But I need to get out of that mindset, like you said.
So I got a suggestion for you, because this is how I started getting into well, I work from home, so it's not really that hard for me to stay. But when I wanted to get into meal prepping, I would go to Sam's. And you know how they got those big ass meals, like it come with like 6 chicken breasts and it come with broccoli, but it's for a whole family. I would just get one of those and eat it throughout the week. And that's my meal prep.
That makes sense. I like that. Thank you for that suggestion. We'll do that.
Give me a sandwich.
My biggest hurdle, that shit get boring. I like food. I like variety. So it's hard mentally to get yourself in a place where you're like, I
get some sausage.
Eat the same shit. Yeah, I know, man. I'm gonna figure something out. But that'll be the next update. Everything going well though, man. I'm glad everything good with you too, Portia, Spike. We'll have an update on Spike next week.
Yeah, man, we got a good story.
We got a good story. I don't know it yet, but when I asked Spike if he wanted to talk about it today, I could tell by the look on his face. I'm like, nah, let's save this for a whole nother episode.
Yeah, it's been an interesting 2 weeks in my life. So yeah, we can talk
Spike,
about
I want you to know that every time I'm not on the show, but I listen to the show, like when Rich talk, I'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be talking back to you. I'll be wishing.
Hey, that's the biggest compliment. Like,
that's real.
And I'm not taking anything. Like, I know what you said just now about Rich. Rich is a wonderful podcaster, but
I appreciate that.
When
brother.
people can be, because I was on, and it's funny that you said it because it's fresh on my mind. I do another podcast called "It's the Mic Salon," and where they be tearing me up on Reddit, like they be killing me. Like, I had to take a couple weeks ago. I had to ask like my homeboy, like somebody that knew me, to go listen to it and be like, bro, am I crazy for saying this? Because everybody was acting like I was crazy, and I felt
I'm
like,
gonna go listen. You be saying some shit. I'll be like,
I do. But as long as you can make people feel a certain type of way, whether they hate you or love you, like as long as you feel something, the last thing I want is people to listen to me and not feel anything. Like, be like, oh, what the?
Not feel it.
But like, as long I don't care if they hate me. I was reading the Reddit comment today. It was like, man, get this nigga off the show. Like, him.
Getting lit up on Reddit is.
It was killing me, bro. I firmly believe in the stuff that I believe. I can be convinced otherwise, but I firmly believe in the stuff that I believe, like, in how I come to those thoughts. Because I give shit thought, and I be thinking through it, and I'm like, nah, I'm not.
You do.
That's funny as hell, man. Them Reddit, man, you gotta say after Reddit.
I enjoy it though, Rich. I don't know, it's just sick shit. Because there's compliments in there too. Like, nah, because like somebody responded to a buddy. Yeah, somebody responded to a buddy was like, nah, I'll take Spike any day of the week over such and such or whoever it may be, because at least he's standing 10 toes down in what it is that he's saying. He ain't getting wavered off because somebody disagreed with him. Like, nah, my nigga, this is how I feel. Like, I don't even care if it's politically correct or not. I don't care, bro. I'm just telling you what I think.
You don't give a fuck.
I do not care. I don't care.
Like, don't care. Genuinely don't care. Yeah, man. The band was playing when the ship went down, man. That's Spike Lee right there.
Facts.
Nigga, I'm still on this fuck. I'm still playing.
I'm right
here. I don't give a fuck,
bro.
Portia, you have our main topic today, and I'm gonna let you introduce that. But before we do, there's some other news that's going on out there. One thing that Spike Lee brought to my attention, Portia, you had it on your Instagram page. Spike, I'm gonna let you go ahead and roll this out so you can properly explain what happened in regards to Cam Newton and a question that he asked to someone. Well, go ahead and roll it out, Spike, so we can go ahead and have a conversation about this.
My heart.
Shout out to Portia. I enjoy being in Portia's close friends, like, and getting her unfiltered thoughts about shit.
I don't want to blow it up because I know people. I don't want people to be on their DMs like, "Hey man, add me to a close friends."
Yeah.
Portia's close friends is elite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's elite. It's elite. I ain't gonna hold y'all. It's elite.
Yeah, I definitely fuck with it. But so Cam Newton, of course, we all know has a talk show. We know Cam Newton from NFL football. We know he's a quarterback. We expect him to be talking sports. But this week he had one of Dwight Howard's baby mamas on here. He opened my. I love that hat. We had one of Dwight Howard. They had Dwight Howard. I don't know if it's. I don't even know this chick. Like that for that. I don't know. Yeah, you said something about her being on Basketball Wives. I don't know. I ain't never watched it. I've watched my first reality show this year that I've watched ever. I can't even remember the last reality show I watched, but I've been watching.
Like, we gotta get you together.
No, I've been watching one portion. Just a quick sidebar. I've been watching The Ultimatum on Netflix. Have y'all ever watched it?
Yeah.
Hey, bro, that shit crazy. I just started season 3. I finished season 1. I skipped over season 2 after the interest of people left. You know what I'm talking about if you watch it, Portia. But yeah, I'm watching The Ultimatum, and I can't really believe that I like it. That I find myself like, man, I got to go see how this ends. But with that being said, she played on a reality show, as Portia said, Dwight Howard's baby mama, and Cam Newton had her on his podcast asking about Dwight Howard's sexual orientation. And a lot of people, including J.R. Smith, said that's lame, that's whack, that's not your lane, that's not what you do. I was kind of confused, Portia. I need some clarification as to why Cam Newton getting so much smoke for this, because I personally look at him as a sassy dude, Cam Newton. Like, I look at him as the type of nigga that would be asking these type of questions to a nigga baby mama. Like, he's always struck me as that type of dude. So now that he's doing this and he has a platform, this is exactly what I expect out of a nigga like him. So I was kind of confused at all the backlash he was getting. I was like, well, what the fuck did y'all think was going to happen when Cam Newton started getting a platform? So I'd love to know where the outrage come from.
For me. Hold on, because my heart, I cannot stand no fucking Cam Newton. Okay, so for me, it's different levels to it. First off, Cam Newton, we never wanted to hear you. That's one. But everybody can have a mic. People probably say that about me. So okay, cool. We're gonna let you roll. Then your topics are very. Why do you keep embarrassing your girlfriend every episode? Like, I feel like a lot of his things are just, I don't know if it's for shock value. I don't know. I just feel like people need to begin to, their content should match their status. That's what it is. Cam Newton.
What you mean by that?
Cam Newton is, from what I hear, a respected NFL quarterback. He had a nice career. You know, former MVP. Why are you taking away from what your legacy is? Bring sports people on, fam. Talk about sports. Why are you bringing on women, Royce, who got kicked off of Basketball Wives? That's how horrible she was. Royce had an NDA from Dwight Howard. She couldn't even speak about him on the show, like, as far as like her backstory. You bring fake therapists on your show to talk about relationships. Like, that is not who you are supposed to be. You have a legacy. Yeah. Why are you doing that? And then to put it down, and I love Wendy Williams, she is my idol, but to go from NFL player, highly respected, whatever, to this being the content is crazy work. Like, it's such a desperation for, it's like a money grab. We know that you're broke. You've already told us. So now it's just looking like, I don't know.
All right, so let me
go ahead.
Question. All right, so play devil's advocate. To quote Ray P, man, the devil don't need no more advocates, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Oh, don't.
The devil don't need no more advocates. But you just mentioned talk about sports, all this stuff. Is that in the same lane as the shut up and dribble? Like, stick to what you know. Are we boxing Cam Newton in? Because yes, we know him for sports, but is he allowed to? So here's the thing. Because here's the thing, right? And I've had this conversation before, I think, on this podcast, right? We're all huge. We're probably in the upper percentiles when it comes to Jay-Z fans, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think one thing that happens when you're such a Jay-Z fan like us, you realize that, all right, then this isn't the Jay-Z in 2025 is not the Jay-Z I was listening to in 1999.
Correct.
Right? It's not the same person. But we can separate it. Now, all I'm saying is there are certain things, and he's been telling us who he is his entire life, his entire rap career. Like, you know what I'm saying? About the 1 million, 2 million, 3 million folks. So when he does things that are capitalist and put money in his pockets, even though people might look at him funny, are you doing this, but it's looking bad for that? Why are you surprised? And he's not supposed to still be that same person. He still does enough good in the whole nine. The whole point is some people don't know how to grow with their, I don't want to say with their audience. Audiences don't know how to grow with the actual person sometimes, right? I'm gonna tag you in. All I'm saying is, is it possible that maybe you putting Cam Newton in the box and you're not allowing him to go into other spaces? So for some reason, here we are talking about it. I don't listen to Cam Newton's show. I don't watch Cam Newton's show. But I do see he's known for, and I'm with Spike in this sense. Like, this isn't a surprise to me. Cam, this strikes me as the type of dude that would be asking this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. What's your feedback? Cause I know you wait. What's up?
You doing apples and oranges.
Okay.
So Jay, I'm not putting him I'm not giving him the shut up and dribble because, like you said, he manifested from reasonable doubt to now what he was going to be doing. He told us what he was going to do.
And I think I know where you're about to go with this.
Depending on how you look at his career, I'm not whatever, but it seems as though he elevated. It seems as though he went from rapper to business mogul to, okay, that's an evolution. Going from MVP, NFL player to sitting on a couch with a woman no one cares about to talk about a relationship that happened 20 years ago. Stay in your box.
Fair.
We need to bring Shane back. He is a shameful man, and he should not have no fucking show. You weirdo.
I think that's his box, though. I think that's his box, though. Like, he didn't start. So, to give more context to the NFL thing, he couldn't go the traditional route of being an analyst like most players do because the Panthers boxed him out. Like, Dave said.
Weirdo.
But hold on, time out. I'm sorry. Didn't he just sign the First Take deal? Is he a regular on there now?
I was about to get to that. Okay. So my point to it was
Stephen A. Smith? Is that with Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah, he does. He on there now. He's been on there all week. He's been on there all week. She said it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So usually players of Cam Newton's caliber have a lot more respect in the sports industry than he does. I don't know what he did to people, but they don't fuck with him in the sports industry. Like, the Panthers barely recognized that he was an MVP quarterback that led them to the quarterback. I think he said that he went there and his son asked him, he was like, bro, why ain't no pictures of you in here? Like, y'all got all these other random ass people of the franchise. Like, it ain't no pictures of you in here. Pops, what's up? He was talking about this on his platform. He also tried to do something with the organization that he played for the Panthers from the media standpoint. That was like, nah, we don't really fuck with you like that. Like, new ownership, David Tepper, like, we don't really fuck with you like that. So he has had to be very untraditional in his role because he said he's always wanted to do media. I listened to him on an interview with Dan Patrick. He said, I studied it. I asked the right people. I had to go about it a different way because the doors weren't opening for me. People just wasn't fucking with me. So he built this platform of the podcast that he's on. He's worked that into, as Rich said, a spot on First Take. It was Fridays. I've been watching this week because I had some time. He's been on there every day this week, wearing the weird clothes and weird hats and shit, saying stuff that people usually don't say on the platform. So I think that he thinks, Portia, to your point, that that's his bag now. I have to be the controversial take because if I was going to be the button-up regular dude like a lot of the NFL players that switch over into this genre, then I wouldn't make it. They're not gonna give me a shot. But since I do things that make me go viral and people are getting impressions, I'm getting impressions from the people paying attention. I wear these weird hats and I do this weird shit. Or ask even these weird questions to this woman about Dwight Howard, which should be none of your business. As a man, I will say that. I'm not bringing anybody ever on my platform and asking about like their sexual orientation because I don't care. It ain't got shit to do with me. But he felt like that.
Ask him. Why didn't he bring Dwight Howard on the show?
Dwight Howard
has been very open.
But look, this is what I want to know though. Aren't those the rumors about Dwight Howard are out there though? Like, wouldn't he be wrong?
They're not rumors because he confirmed it. So you can bring that man on your show and talk to him.
Oh, I didn't know he confirmed.
Yeah, so I mean, like
with that lawsuit, I think that the whole case it got dismissed. But you remember the whole case, right? We're not gonna go through it on here because it's way too much.
Basically,
the case of my buddy that said he got kidnapped.
Yeah,
which is wild because
my whole thing is
I didn't know he confirmed that.
You can bring that man on that show. I don't know. Just talking to the baby mama who been.
I get it now.
Like, that shit is weird, and that shit is weird.
Understand.
Now, hey, Spike,
talk to Dwight Howard about
and it's not manly. I want every man who is listening to this. That is not manly.
No,
that is some bitch.
I get that.
Shit.
When, I will say, when Spike was filling me in of what was going on before we started recording, before you even jumped on, Portia, I did say the same thing. I'm like, if his whole reason was to be messy like that, that's super lame. He deserves all of it.
He had the audacity to be like, while she was going in, she done went in for about 45 minutes. Then all of a sudden he gonna say, well, you know what? This just don't seem right. Now this interview seemed like it's taking a turn. Bam! Why did you put it out? Why did you even put it out? I don't
And she didn't even confirm really anything. She was just like, her answer to that question didn't even make sense to me. Like when she was responding like about a threesome story that with her and another girl. Like that didn't even answer the question to what Cam was asking her, which was weird in itself. But I didn't watch the whole interview. I watched that clip. I thought the clip was interesting. I thought the response to the clip was interesting. As far as I think people
Morris is a horrible person too. She's a horrible person.
See, I don't know her. I had no idea who that lady was. It's like
they have a son together, and not to go off the deep end. I just really hate him, but they have a son together, and the son is like 19, 20, and he truly was accused of some predatory shit. So while you on this podcast trying to tell your ex-husband's business, you need to be worried about your son. Oh man, no.
I gotta get into the history of this Royce chick. That's funny.
I was gonna ask a question, but I kind of know the answer, so it doesn't matter.
What's the question?
No, it was just I was just gonna ask Portia, for the people that didn't know her listening, is how much of this is like her not liking Cam, but I know Portia well enough to let you know it doesn't matter who it is. She might not have the same vitriol, but the answer is going to be the same. Like, this is some weird lame shit.
I don't like Cam. I don't like Royce. I don't like Dwight. I don't like none of them. But I do.
But I just want to make sure that people that don't know you. I want the people that don't know you to understand that she's not saying this because it is Cam. She's adding probably a little extra to it because it's Cam and Dwight and Royce. But I think if it was anybody else, even somebody she liked, she'd still say, my nigga, that was lame. Trust me, Portia has no problem telling somebody that you're doing some lame shit.
Loser.
Regardless of who you are. So just want to make sure we get her some credit on that end. If it sounds emotional, maybe it is, but it ain't. That don't mean it ain't true.
You trying to figure out how to segue this?
Nah, not even that. I'm more so just thinking about the whole. I think Cam represents. Listen, everybody has a crowd, right? Podcasting is almost like the same. Streaming in general, not just podcasting. You can talk about shows, you can talk about movies, you can talk about music, talking about podcasts. All of it is so readily available now that you do have people that even if you can't stand them, and there's people you try to understand, like, how the fuck do you have an audience? Those people exist. There is somebody for everybody. I literally was just having this conversation. I was in a Lyft recently. And I got in the lift, and my man's is listening to like some polka. Like some old school polka music. And it just made me think randomly on the second, like, it's crazy how there's something for everybody in this world. Like, in my life, I would never even search. I don't even know a polka artist. Right? Yeah. Not knocking it, but I just heard enough of it to say that ain't me. But this dude's in there jamming. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, whoever made this song has an audience, the dude is part of it, and there's probably thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands more just like him. White dude. Just a white dude.
White dude, okay.
Yeah, just older white dude.
I don't even think I know what polka music is. I've heard the term before, but I wouldn't be able to, like...
If you heard it, you would know what it is.
Steve Urkel.
Yeah, Steve Urkel used to play the little thing.
Oh, he used to play the little thing.
Accordions and all that. It's just a different genre, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I never would have thought of this. So it's always interesting that there's just way too many people with platforms. I can't say they have platforms, they shouldn't deserve them, but it was a little bit, I don't know, it's a gift and a curse. When they were gatekeepers, you got a lot of good stuff, but you missed out on a lot of good stuff too. Now it's almost like, all right, there's way too many. You can find some good nuggets in here, but nobody should have to search through a bunch of nonsense and bullshit in order to find the frequency, right? Like, they should be able to just have the frequency there and know this is legit, this is for me. I don't have to listen to Cam and all this other shit to get to that. Or I don't have to listen to some nonsense before I get to another week in the books and so on and so forth. You were going to say something, Spike.
You talked about me, you, and Portia as far as moving to different places. One thing for me, while more, I won't say accepting of Cam, but I understand it more, like, is moving to Atlanta. That's a certain type of Atlanta nigga, and that's why he has that crowd. Like, I from the high school that he went up to, from the neighborhood that he grew up in, and meeting people who went to that high school and grew up in the same type of neighborhood he grew up in, where it ain't really like impoverished, it's more affluent. As far as those type of black people, like, there is 100% a crowd that he's speaking to, and I wouldn't have known. Yes, like, he's a certain type of Atlanta nigga that it's a lot of Atlanta niggas that's like him. Like, I was surprised as hell too, Portia, but being down here this many years and meeting the different type of people from here, like, I have a lot wider grasp. Like, oh, okay, these are the type of niggas that y'all are. But then you go to the other side of town, it's completely different. But from where he's from and like where his parents are from and the high school that he went to and the niggas that I know from down here that are from the same place and have the same background, like, he's 1,000,000% talking to them niggas. Because they just like him. They might not wear the weird ass hats and shit like that, but they dress like kind of the same way, hair type of the same demeanor. Like, he is the epitome of a certain type of Atlanta nigga, and that's his appeal. Like,
so you saying those certain type of Atlanta niggas? So you saying those type of Atlanta niggas are out here just asking women about other men?
The niggas that I know like him with that background would 1,000,000% ask that same question and not have any problem with that. I don't know any niggas where I'm from that would do that, like, and have that type of conversation in my circle. But I've met niggas who have been introduced to me through people because they went to college or whatever it may be, and, like, again, have the same background as Cam, went to the same high school, lived in the same neighborhood, and I look at them kind of the same way that I look at Cam, like, yeah, that tracks. Because this nigga just like that. So
that's it.
Audience for everyone.
I'm saying it to be as respectful as possible to the niggas that I know, because it ain't a diss. It's just like, you got to know who you dealing with. And I think a lot of people misinterpret who Cam Newton is. Like, they think that he's a certain type, but he's not. He's like, that shit that he's showing, that's legit. Yeah. Facts. I've called the people that I know from that place the same thing. Like, he's that. Like, he's okay.
What you say? I'm sorry, I missed that.
She said he's a weirdon't. Yeah, like, I've labeled a lot of niggas that I know from that similar. Like, okay, dude, weird. He just weird. Like, I don't even know I have no defense to it.
Hey man, I'd rather be called. I don't even know. There's probably other names I'd rather be called before I get called weird. Like, don't call me weird, man. That shit. Oh shit. Interesting. That's very interesting. Let me ask you, and we can move on. I'm just curious now since we're on the conversation. Did you view someone like Kevin Samuels the same way, Portia?
No, because some things that I agree with some things Cam Samuels would say. I think my thing with Cam Newton is
she's just being messy. There's no intent or there's no self-improvement to it. Yeah.
There was no reason to have Royce on his show. She was promoting nothing. She has nothing. She is nowhere. She is nothing. Like, she has been writing the Dwight Howard story since at least almost 15 to 20 years. So I think it's just more so like, if you would have had somebody on the show, y'all were talking, it got to that, fine. But you truly brought her on that show to talk to her like you were a woman. And that is some sick shit.
I understand your context a lot more.
I definitely get that. Because that makes complete sense. Because if any of us woke up tomorrow and a motherfucker that we might have messed with in high school having an interview talking about when I'm like, what the? I don't even know this motherfucker's middle name. Like, what are you speaking on me for? Like, that was 20-some years ago.
That's like y'all waking up and Rich, I find an ex-girlfriend from college and she on the frequency and we talking about you.
Yeah, I'd be like, yo, what the fuck is y'all doing? Why?
What are we doing?
How'd you even find her? Right? Where'd you even find her at, bro?
And this is coming from a girl who watches reality TV, who listens to podcasts, and I enjoy the tea. But that was so cringy to me. He is trash.
I get what you're saying now. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like sense. She ain't wrote no book. She ain't on no new show. It ain't I brought you up here or your people reached out because it was a platform. It's just like, I got some questions about Dwight Howard, and we're gonna get to him eventually because I know you know him. And I see what you're saying.
I'm sorry. One more. I understand it too, but one more question. I gotta ask one more comparison. Club Shay Shay. At least they're current, and like they invite people who got something going on. But do you view that in the same vein of another grown man just being messy?
No.
Okay.
I think the perception.
I think the difference is Shannon Sharp he's horrible at it, but he is interviewing, right? And then the people just go and wherever they go. Yeah. He actually is bringing people on to talk that got stuff going on. Mm-hmm. This was a Maury Povich. This was worse than Wendy Williams to me, because even Wendy bring people on who got at least recent tea. Dwight Howard is married to another chick from Love and Hip Hop, so I don't know.
Nah, fair. Listen, that's cool. I just wanted to make sure I clarified all that stuff.
That makes sense in the sense of, I think Shannon Sharp tried to, and he maybe was forced into the lane of comedians. It's like Portia said in the beginning, like, why isn't Dwight Howard talking to sports people? Like, why are you talking to the baby mama of the sports dude? Like, you should be having athletes on here if that's like, if it's the lane that you're going. Because I think Shannon Sharp found a unique lane with, like, he just did one with Cheryl Underwood, which was cool.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was good. She was funny. I haven't heard from Cheryl Underwood in a while, and she wasn't promoting nothing either, but it wasn't different from the highs that he got from that Cat Williams shit. He seen the Cat, and he was interviewing comedians before that. So he's kind of chosen a lane. Like, every now and then you get somebody different, but primarily he's dealing with comedians, and they're telling us stuff that we usually don't hear from comedians about how it is being a comedian. I can agree with Portia in the sense of, like, I didn't even know who this woman was other than being the Dwight Howard baby mama. So, like, why is she up here? I ain't seen him interview any other reality stars or baby mamas, anything of that nature. So it does make it more messy when you put it in that context of, like, bro, she was just a random. You had these questions about this dude, and you could have called him. You're in that world. You have that type of platform where I can just get him on the phone and bring him up here. But I want to bring her up here and talk about it. Like, nah, that ain't. I'm on your side now with it, Portia. Like, that don't fly.
Yeah, not like Shannon Sharp, Drink Champs, people who bring people on to tell stories. That's one thing, but Cam knew exactly what he was doing, and that's weird. And Dwight Howard should whoop his ass.
Fair enough.
Rough day with Cam, though. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know. I think Cam might. He gonna have a rough day with Cam. He might be able to whoop Dwight. That's why he did it. He know he can whoop him.
That's
I was gonna say something. Yeah, and because even J.R. Smith, he told him, he stood on it. So J.R. Smith tweeted him like, man, this shit lame. J.R. Smith, man, you know where I'm at? Holla at me. Like, I don't do this internet
that's
stuff.
one thing I do respect about Cam. Cam stand on business. Like him and he got into it with Shador. Shador Sanders, Deion's son, because he was criticizing him. And then he pulled up to the game and Shador was like, I ain't appreciate what you said. He's like, nigga, it was the truth. Like, I don't like what you want me to say. Like, I'm not backing down because we stand here.
How old is Cam Newton compared to that to Deion Sanders?
Yeah. A nice age gap. At least 15.
See what I'm saying?
But, oh well, Shador was acting like a kid. He was acting like a kid. And
he is a kid
compared to Cam.
But in Cam's response to him, it was like, bro, if you think what I said was bad, like you about to get into a career of this, like these white folks would say this shit about you all day. I ain't saying that's crazy. I ain't disrespecting. No. I'm not disrespecting you, but you can't get this mad about something that I said that's my honest opinion as a sports analyst. All he said was which is crazy to say. He said Shador hasn't endured the same type of pressures that a regular kid would in this position. He's like, Deion always made it easy for him. So like he want to see what it looked like when it ain't easy for him no more. And Shador didn't like that.
I wouldn't like it either, especially coming from a man who's interviewing baby mamas.
And you got that right, but you can't get mad at me.
All right, man. Listen, we Portia, you brought up the topic. You know, when we have these conversations, kind of just freestyle. We don't really have things that we want to talk about, so we leave it open. Say, hey, if there's anything you want to bring to the table, let us know. If not, Spike and myself will come up with a topic. We'll give you the information. We'll have the convo from there. You sent me something in regards to some news that was, I guess, I don't want to say trigger warning, serious topic. Just let everybody know. We're not necessarily going to touch on that per se, but DJ Academics, if you haven't heard, has been rightfully getting drugged about grooming. Yeah, banned from Twitch about grooming. I don't even know if you want to call them allegations. Accused of grooming, I guess would be the right term. I don't know fully. You had mentioned like, hey, you sent me a clip from the Breakfast Club and kind of what happened when he was speaking to a 15-year-old. Once again, kind of going to the Cam conversation. Not to compare the two, I'm just saying, why are you even talking to a 15-year-old? Like, I don't even know what situation or what world would I would be in to where I'm having a conversation with a 15-year-old. Like, just especially on like.
Well, for context, he is a streamer. Like that's a 15-year-old with somebody.
Okay, so it was business.
Over everything type thing.
Yeah, he
was popular streaming.
Even now, even if somebody said, "Hey, we got the youth version of Another Week in the Books," like I don't like what. Let them do their thing. What are we gonna talk about? Like, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird, and it definitely wouldn't go off the rails like it did with them, which was been weird. But, Portia, you say you didn't necessarily want to talk about. I'm not even gonna say the language that you used when you just refer to academics. Did you say you wanted to more so talk about the new adults, millennials, and adults? I'll let you explain it further about what it is that you want to bring to the table, so we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah, so I hope I can like explain because I know my voice memo was all over the place. But basically, with the whole academics debacle and this 15-year-old that he had this conversation with, like I totally get, like you said, why the public is dragging him. We're not trying to go into that. But my mind went somewhere else because it's like the kid kept saying, yo, I'm 15, bro. But academics, it didn't seem like he fully processed that he was 15. Like, and it's like, nigga, I looked you up. You are 35 years old. So I'm wondering, like, where is the disconnect between age and adulthood now? Because, like, I talk to my friend all the time because we all late 30s, early 40s, whatever. And it's just kind of like, we don't feel like the adult. And I think that's why academics conversation went so left, because it seems like millennials don't feel like adults like the way we saw our parents, or like the way that we thought that, when we were growing up. By 25, 30, my aunts and uncles was like grown. So I'm curious, like, do you think we grew up with an unrealistic idea of adulthood, or did something actually shift? Do y'all feel grown? Or like, even has like there been a generational shift and maturity and responsibility, because now millennials, we have choices. So it's like that what it is. But Lord Jesus, I am 37, but I don't feel like that. Like, I know I'm 37. I feel like I handle my business. Like, I've never been evicted or no shit. Like, I pay bills and I work. But it's like, in my mind, I feel like I'm 27. I feel like I should be calling my homegirls, bar hopping, having a time. And it's like, yo, I'm almost 40. No kids, no house.
That's kind of what I said earlier when I mentioned, like, in your head, it feels like I'm still early 20s. Like, I don't feel different other than mentally and all that other stuff. Like, but I think you don't academics,
like, when he was talking, I'm like, the kid keeps telling you 15, but the way academics was going, it was just kind of like I'm trying to I'm talking my shit. I'm trying to, and yeah. I don't think it was because he was trying to groom, but it's 2025. Niggas is nasty, maybe. But I really just think we haven't got the concept of we're the new adult.
Spike.
I think adulting was presented to us so differently when we were young. Like, me and one of my homies talk about this a lot. Like, I think more so than any generation, millennials, us, like, we were lied to a lot more as far as what was going on. Like, we used to think, and I'll speak for myself specifically here, I thought that adults had that shit figured out. Nigga, you couldn't tell me that my mom or my grandma or like people like even I was fortunate enough to grow up around my great grandparents, and you see this structure of life that they have and going to jobs every day, and you see it, and you're like, oh shit, this is how it's supposed to be. And then the older you get, the more you start to realize, like, all of that was bullshit. And we as millennials start to piece that shit together, and it's like, bro, I didn't realize how close 27 to 40 was until I was 27 and I was 40. I realized that, like, at 27, like, yeah, there's some things that you should have going on, as Portia spoke about, going out with the homeboys, chilling and whatever it may be. But then when I got 40, I still felt like I was 27 and I could still do those things, but you shouldn't be doing those things. And we seen our parents not doing those things. I can count on my hand the amount of times I seen my mom go out. Like, my mom she had me when she was 20. So all through growing up, she was 20 years older than me. You're talking about a lady in her 20s, 30s, and then 40s. I never seen her go to a nightclub or out to a bar or come home later than me. None of those things. Like, they were lying to us in the sense of, this is what adulting look like. And I think that us as millennials, we're too smart at this age now to be like, oh no, I'm accepting this as adulthood. This thing where y'all go to work, go home, read a book and shit like that, that's not what adulthood is. Like, it is experience in life, and we're not willing to accept what they were willing to accept for our 30s and 40s. And I think that's where the disconnect comes from a lot of the time. So even with Ak, you hear him having this weird ass conversation with this little boy. And like Portia said, it's like, you should have backed out of this a long time ago. But because you don't understand what you're supposed to be at 35, and this little boy saying these triggering words to you, you keep going, you doubling down, because you don't feel like the adult in the room yet. But you 35, nigga, you supposed to be the adult in the room. And that's what was taught to us when we were young. At a certain age, you're supposed to be the adult in the room. And I don't think that's processed for us because it was such a big lie. Like, they weren't keeping it honest with us about what being an adult was.
That's a great point. Great points all the way around. Yeah, man, it's interesting because the first thing, when Portia started talking about this, the first thing I thought about was, like, I wonder how many of us actually sat down and asked our parents about how it was, right? And I bet all of them would give us answers of what Spike just mentioned. Like, nigga, I was figuring this shit out on the fly. I just made it look simple. Because I think part of it is we're kids and we just believe that our parents are going to figure it out. Because they always did. They always did. I wonder how differently we're looking at this because all three of us have mentioned parents. None of us are parents, right? I wonder how different this would be if we had children. Like, how different would our life be? But even then, you can kind of say it's at a slant, because I know people with kids and they still kick it like it's 08. You know what I mean? And that's for them. I think so much has changed in society. I just think things were a lot easier back then as far as figuring shit out. Even when you go back to like the 60s, 70s, you got plants. Like, even if you were the dumbest of dumb, respectfully, you can find a way out in this world to make a decent living, right? Back when overtime was unlimited, you know, all the overtime I can ask for, all that shit, when you can really go out here and buy a house for $27,000, keep that house in the family, like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of things, and now we just got away from that. And you don't realize it until generations keep moving on, right? And then I think about Portia's question, and it's like, damn, the most, I don't want to say triggering, because it's not triggering, but the most revealing thing is, it did seem when we were growing up that every adult in our lives or family had some shit figured out.
Had it figured out.
You had it figured out. And now I'm sitting here at 38. I never even thought, like,
I couldn't imagine
being transparent. Just being transparent. I never even, like, I don't even know how to. I'm sure I can look it up. Information's right there at your hand, but I never once even tried to look for a home. Like, as far as like buying a home, when that was just the norm. That's something you did at 20, 21, 22 back in the day. Okay. And now it's like, all right, rent's going up. Shout out to Phil, man, because Phil's always on it, man. Like, man, get some real estate, man. Rent's only going higher. Own something. I get it, but it's also, man, that shit was just figured out. We grew up. I would think it's safe to say that we grew up expecting that this shit was just normal.
Yeah.
And then when you become an adult, you look at it and be like, oh shit, like, I got to figure this out. You really look at the room, like Portia said, I am the adult in the room. Like, I really got to figure this shit out. That this shit, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, there's nobody coming to save you.
So, I want to go back to what Spike said as far as like, they lied to us. And I agree with that, but then I start thinking like, but did they? Because they were able to accomplish it. Like, I really think millennials were fucked. Like, we had the best childhood, but our parents couldn't prepare us for the inflation of what it is. Like, when I tell my mom how much I pay for rent, she'd be like, she cannot even fathom that. Like, and when it was time for us, when we got to the age to where we could get a house, shit started happening. So it's like, I kind of want to blame the government. Like,
you know what? You're right about that. I said lied to us. I said lied to us, but they were lied to. And they were just peddling that lie to us. Like, they were made to understand that there was a system in place as to where, oh, you get a good job, you do these things, and you're going to be okay. This is what adulthood looks like. But then we're the generation as millennials is dealing with it like, nah, bro, that's not how it fucking works. As to
we
Rich's
don't
point,
even know
like,
we can retire. I watched my grandma retire. I don't know if I can retire.
Like, Social Security, one, we don't know if it will be around, and two, we don't even. It definitely won't be enough. Like, to be able to sustain our generation or what we want to do. So you're looking at a generation of people who are going to be working into their late 60s, early 70s, and that's because we were sold a dream on go to school, get a good job, and everything will be okay. And then we get out here into the world, and it's like, nah, but that ain't how it works. I went to school. I have the education. I know how to talk in those rooms to get those jobs, but I'm not getting those jobs. So, like, what's going on? And then even if I get those jobs, it's still not able to help me sustain the lifestyle that I want. Like, I'm not able to take 2 vacations a year, buy a house, and have these different things like it was in your generation if you had these jobs. Now, in my generation, if you have that job, you're able to get by. And if you're good with money, you're able to make investments and do the different things that you need to do to be good. But for the majority of millennials, it's like, I thought this shit would be different. But that was sold to us. And to your original point of what you said, Portia, it wasn't them lying to us. It was them being lied to and not having the information that we have. One of the benefits, one of the gifts and the curses, I think, of our generation, people our age point, is we know how to get the information, but now that we have the information, it's like, damn, it makes this shit seem unattainable. Like I know how much rent is. I know how much people pay. Yeah, the goalposts keep moving. It's like, goddamn.
We were around in the 90s, but from my understanding, the 90s were incredible. The Clinton years were an incredible time for like people financially. Like I remember my pops. I don't even know if either one of y'all have ever looked up like Disney World tickets or anything like that. I don't know if you've seen. Yeah. All right, so 2001, my pop took me, my mom, and school to Orlando. We went to Universal Studios and we went to Disney World. And you don't think anything about that when you're 14 years old. Like I just turned 14. And now I'm thinking about like, how the fuck did this nigga even, like, I couldn't even, the plane ticket would have set me back, let alone the Disney World, all of that. They weren't the same. I know, that's my whole point.
I was just like, about to say, bro, to your point, my mom took me to Disney World when I was 8 or 9, I believe. So that would have been like 90, 91 or something, 92, somewhere around there. She took me, like, she worked a fucking factory job. Like, I know she barely probably made above like $9-10 an hour. And you talking about a room, Disney World tickets, a plane ticket, rental cars, a hotel. How the fuck did she do that? Like, cause like you said, Rich, if I'm going, like, I couldn't imagine taking a family to Disney World nowadays with a regular job.
It's insane. You know what?
Do y'all think that the money stopped our maturity? Do y'all feel y'all age mature wise?
What do you mean when you said that? I want to make sure I'm understanding.
I ain't gonna hold you, I don't.
I'm asking, like, because we're talking about
talking to niggas that still play the pause game.
we don't feel like the new adults because we don't have the quote unquote finances or stability that our parents and stuff had. But do y'all think that stopped us mentally? Because I know a lot, like, I don't feel what I think a 37-year-old should walk and talk and think like. I am the complete opposite of that. And I'm not saying that I'm not immature. I can have a conversation. I can, like, cool, but I'm laughing at the jokes, fam. You're
a human. You're authentic. That's all it is. Like, people make this world to where you're supposed to be, just like you said. They paint the picture to where when you get to this point of life, you're supposed to be this way, right?
Yeah.
And that's not always true. Like, it's okay to laugh. I remember one of the things I said earlier when y'all asked me about what happened. Like, I don't give a, like, it don't, so the fuck what? Nigga, somebody says some fucked up shit, I'm gonna laugh at that. Like, all that cancel, I don't care about none of that. That shit was funny. I'm gonna laugh. Oh, well, you don't like it. So what? Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of that is, I just think that there were certain expectations put on certain people, and it's not realistic. It's just not a real thing. And I think a lot of people
put on adults.
Exactly. And just going back to what you said earlier about being lied to, like, you find out certain people are fucked up. Like, even heroes of ours. Like, you listen, the more you read, the more you realize, like, all due respect, because it caused a wave of shit over MLK weekend. MLK always asks where they at. That's what he was on. That's just what it is. And I don't understand why it's hard for people. We said what?
I think that's what me and my homegirl was talking about as far as, like, being the adult. We don't even try to present anymore. Like, to your Martin Luther King point. Yeah, he was out getting the bitches, okay?
Yes.
But when you saw him, that ain't what was up, fam. Straightforward.
That's true.
Now,
that's fair.
You can't even get a nigga
don't
in
even
suit.
present that way. We have
niggas
Jim Jones doing rap beef videos. Like, there's no, like,
he 48.
Oh, I'm too old for that. We don't do that no more.
You're right. We don't, and that's funny because I think me and Spike just had a conversation about that with the whole Jim Jones Cam thing. And it's like, bro, come on, like,
there's a lot more. This is who I am. This is what it is. I don't really care if y'all accept it or not. Like, I've just been. This is the way. This is it. And the millennials, us, the next generation, they like that too. Like, they don't give two fucks about what we think about them. Like, from talking to them little niggas. But I think our generation started that, and now we're older in that, and we see the effects of it. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain how a Jim Jones is acceptable in 2025, especially with how we grew up, because that would have never flew when we grew up. However, we see that now and we understand it. It's like Portia said, like, damn, bro, I'm the adult in the room. I'm the one that's supposed to be making the educated decisions and telling you to do the right thing, but I'm still trying to laugh at the jokes, bro. Like I'm still like I still got my Jordans on. Like I'm not trying to wear the blazer and the motherfucking the Scooby Doo's. I ain't trying to do that. Like I ain't putting on that presentation for you. You gonna get the sweatsuit, the Jordans, I'm pulling up banging Jeezy. Like that's what I do. We didn't see that when we were young. Like everybody I feel like was putting on this persona of when you're an adult, you have to do these things. And now that we're adults, especially adults at our age, we're like, nah, bro, I'm not cool with that. And I don't know if that's holding us back or pushing us forward.
When did Biggie and Pac die?
96,
26, right?
95,
96, 97.
But they was
Tupac,
like 25, 26 years old.
Yeah, Big, younger than that.
Pac was 25.
Big was like 24, I think.
Okay. I mean, not that we should aspire to be like them or whatever, but even just growing up, seeing Pac was a grown ass man to me.
I couldn't imagine having the thoughts that he had at 25.
Like when he died,
some of the shit that I've heard him talk about.
I'm like, Dad, he died when he wasn't even his late 20s.
Listen to
I would have
Biggs.
never been talking like Pac at 25. Like what happened? What happened?
You put on Pac and Big right now, and it still sounds like your OG talking to you, regardless. And we've out. We're way past the age that Pac and Big were when they died, and it still sounds like my OG talking to me.
Yes, and I think that's where it's like, where
do we lose that thought process?
So here's the thing, Spike. You kind of just mentioned it because you mentioned, people wearing what they want to. Have we gotten? Has losing the sense of tradition hurt us, right? Even when you take it from a very small sense, right? So you look at, there was an era, college basketball. You look at the coaches on the sideline. Coaches got the suit on, they got the tie on. Now coaches come out in the hoodies and the track jackets. Everything becomes like football, right? NFL. Like there is no really. The leaders were always expected to do a certain thing, right? And I know, when you look at the church, come as you are, I feel like everybody took that and ran with it in all aspects of life. Even at work, right? There was a certain atmosphere you're supposed to do at work. Now it's super lax. You wear jeans, you wear shorts, you wear your Jordans, all that shit. And there's really no place, I feel like, where you have to be a certain image. Like literally just show up and we're going to figure it out. And even if you get younger, the customer service and everything else that goes with it. Like everything is so lax, and I think our generation started that. I think we were the ones that's gonna be like, nah, we're gonna be cool. We're gonna be the cool parents. We're gonna do all that shit.
I'm picking that up. I think we were given too many choices.
Yes.
Because now at 37, I do feel like I'll see some people getting dressed for church, and it's like, damn, you should not be wearing that. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm turning it. Or like, now that I'm corporate and I have to like interview people, it's like, y'all don't know how to properly speak in interviews. Y'all don't know how to do a resume. And it's like, maybe we did screw ourselves with, remember when we was in public school and they tried to put the dress code on us and we tried to rebel against that, and I'm gonna wear my Cape Then the Snowman shirt. Fuck you. Yep. Like little stuff like that. And now it's crazy.
We had a program in middle school called Men of Distinction, and it was all the black male teachers like trying to form this little club or group with all the black male students, and they wanted us to dress up every Friday, and we hated that shit. Like it was like we hated that shit to the point of like niggas will rebel and you get, it's a whole thing. But we hated that shit, and it goes to the point of what you're speaking to, Portia. Like we got so laxed in what we were willing to do and feeling like it was so defiant upon who we were as people that it was just like, fuck it. And then to y'all's point, it increased, it caused a deterioration of like what's adult was not, like what's corporate was not. Like I couldn't imagine wearing a suit now. Like I just don't, there's no reason for me to have a suit on. Like I can dress nice, I can wear nice stuff. It can cost more than a suit. I can have nice shoes on that don't have to be dress shoes, but sometimes that's appropriate though. And our generation was like, nah, fuck that. We're not doing that, bro.
Just thought about this. Perfect example, Spike. Because I know you watch it. Portia, I don't know if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I tried.
Spike,
I couldn't get into it.
Spike, do you remember the episode? It was one of the earlier seasons, like first 3 seasons. There was an episode and there was a banker or somebody. I forget what the actual theme was, but the dude had all this bread and he walked into his bank and the dude was wearing jeans. He said, "What is this?" Like, it's Casual Friday. Like, why are you wearing? He was from that era of like, I'm bringing millions of dollars and I walk in and the dude handling my money's wearing jeans on a Friday.
Like,
what the fuck is this? Like, I'll take all my shit and bounce somewhere because he couldn't understand the concept of a Casual Friday. Like, wear your jeans when you get home. This is a place of business, and we don't have that anymore. We took that same. We were the people that were wearing jeans on Casual Friday and had the old heads yelling at us. And we said, when it's our time, we gonna tell nigga, wear whatever you want to. That shit cool. But then you realize once you get there, it's a little bit too long of a leash. Now people taking advantage of it. So yeah, it is cool to have that freedom, but it's also like, damn, like, did we lose something in the process that we can never get back?
So what I'm taking away from this conversation, is we are growing, we are getting older, but we're not growing up. We are the reason, millennials are the reason why there is horrible customer service now, and I'm cussing everybody out every day. And we screwed ourselves. And now we don't know if we're going to retire. We're going to pay rent for the rest of our lives. And
so
this is where we at.
No, you're absolutely right. Checks and balances.
Real quick though, to the customer service point, I am flabbergasted at the decline of customer service. I remember working retail jobs and things that they told us that we had to do. And now when I go to a grocery store, Walgreens, a fucking clothing store, I am shocked at the lack of customer service. Like, motherfuckers don't even care. Like, I ain't greeting you. I'm not responding to you when you say, "Have a nice day."
I'm bothering you.
Yeah, like what? Like, yeah, like, why are you asking me a question? Nigga, I just work here. Like, here's your receipt. Get the fuck out of the store. Let me get to the next question. That shit was unacceptable in our day. Like, I remember working jobs and them telling me, like, you got to be nicer. Like, you got to do this and do that. I remember that shit being a thing. And now when you go out, it's like nobody practices that shit. I don't know if that's me being old or what.
Nah, the young niggas definitely be at the register on the phone and look up at you. Like, hold on, man. Hold on. This old nigga needs something. Hold on, real quick. Like, damn.
You know what's crazy, Rich? You know what's crazy though?
What's up?
It don't just be the young kids. It be somebody our age making us wait.
But you know what that's about, right? That's about them looking at their life and like, how the fuck did I end up here? Like, why am I doing this at 40?
We all trying to figure it out. That's what this episode is damn near about.
Yeah.
Everybody is on some, how did I get here? How can I make it better? But I don't know. And to go back to your point, Rich, with tradition, it's also scary too, because I was scrolling Instagram. Somebody said, yeah, they don't throw the barbecues, they don't do the holidays like they used to. And
we the ones supposed to be throwing them.
We the adults. But me and my homegirl like, yo, we can't do that because one, like, granted, we have people that have kids, sure. But there are a lot of millennials choosing not to have kids because we can't afford them.
Facts.
Like, we can't get a house to have everybody come over and kick it.
And I don't want y'all.
So like traditions is going away. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a scary thought.
I will say this too. We are the generation of boundaries. And there's a lot of things where I think a lot of us are just like, I'm cool. I don't care. Like, I know we talk about blood and relation and family, and it's incredible if you have a great relationship with your family. Not everyone has that, and they don't have it with their entire family. And sometimes we got to remember, like, listen, we family, but I ain't choose that shit and you ain't choose that shit. That's just by happen chance. Like, you know what I mean? And I think our generation is...
Yeah. And I ain't gonna act like that shit important to me. Like, a lot of our generation is really quick to be like, man, I don't give a fuck. Like,
our parents' generation, don't do that. That's your fam. That's your cousin. Invite them. We
cousin.
like, I don't give a fuck about that nigga. Yeah. And
but where did we get that from?
So I was gonna just mention, as we talk about this and try to figure it out, what does that make y'all feel like? And what I mean by that is
losing recipes, man.
You grow up in this, you losing. Shout out to Michael Irvin, man. You losing recipes, right? Portia, you just mentioned a great point, because I know my mom and aunties. I know at times they got to look at us. We got a big family on my mama's side, a lot of cousins, and I'm sure they're thinking like, these niggas. We still, all of us, I guarantee you, all of us are still hitting up our moms and dads. The holiday season, who cooking this year? Nigga, you supposed to be cooking this year. You supposed to be inviting niggas over. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, damn, like you think about it, like I don't think we still, and that in itself is interesting, because that's a mental thing. Like, not once have I ever
said I'm gonna host.
Yeah, what?
I'm hosting Thanksgiving and shit. And then you look at it like that's how our generation looks at it. Like, why in the fuck would I do that?
Yeah,
like why would I do it? Like, why would I have 20 people over to my house, have to cook for them, clean up after them, worry about when they gonna leave when I'm tired of them when we hear that day? Like, why would I do that? And our generation does that more so than any generation, I feel like, and we pass that down to the next generations. Like, I feel like what is it, Gen Z or whatever? Did it come out from the millennials? Yeah, they looking at it the same way. Like, I see this really funny meme. It was talking about when a doorbell rings, and it had these like 3 phases of when a doorbell rings for different generations, and it had Gen Z, and they was like, oh, well, look on the ring camera, see who it is. And then it had the generation before us, the boomers. It was like, oh, I wonder who that is. And it had us as millennials, like, I'm not even acknowledging it. Like, nigga, if I didn't know you was coming and you ring my doorbell, like, bro, like you don't even know that I'm home, to be honest with you. So I'm just.
I wonder how we got to that though, because all of us are like that.
It's that boundary thing.
It felt so like I related to that so much, and all 3 of us, as soon as I said it, knew exactly what I was like. I'm not answering the door, nigga, because I didn't know you was coming.
We don't even answer the phone. Like that?
So
I don't even hear my.
Why are you calling me?
When's the last time anybody had their phone a ringer on? Bro. Like, seriously. Like, my phone been on silent for years.
People have to text me and be like, hey, I'm finna give you a call. Do you have 2 minutes? Like, if a nigga just called me randomly, I'm like, oh shit, what's wrong? Like my mom. Like,
especially, I'm sure y'all can relate, especially not being in the city or state with your family.
With your people.
Fam, every time I talk to somebody now from home, it's like, oh, well, you know, so-and-so passed. Oh, you know, so I be like, fuck it. I'm not calling y'all. I'll see y'all when I get there. It's always.
It's like that scene in Life. It's like that scene in Life when that nigga was reading the letter. He was reading the letter. Everybody died. Like, damn. Like, nigga, I don't nobody want their mail read after that. Shit. Deal with that.
But like, I even traveled from Dallas, Texas to Cincinnati, Ohio for a holiday and don't even see the family. I'll see my mom, my brother, my granny, my dad. That's it. I don't even, because in my mind, to the boundaries part, it's like, shit, I just traveled all these miles. Y'all better come to me. Why I gotta go to y'all? Yeah, but it's like, when did I get like that?
But I used to like them. It's funny you say that. If you don't really realize how small people's worlds are, right? So I'm gonna use a Wire reference because that's what we do all the time. Spike, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. There was a scene in season 2 when Bodie and them had to make that trip. And Bodie was playing with the radio station and said, what happened to the radio? And the dude was with them, Shamrock was with them. Shamrock was like, what you talking about? He said the radio chasing change when you leave. He said, what do you mean? It ain't the same radio everywhere? Like, the station ain't the same? No, nigga, once you leave, it's different frequencies. And he realized in real time, like, that was his first time ever outside of Baltimore at 20 years old. And it made me think, like, damn, there's a lot of people, like, for us, it's normal to travel, to take a flight, to take a trip. There's a lot of people in the city, a lot of people where we from, that's foreign to them. They cool just being in the city. I know people that ain't never really left. Like, maybe a couple road trips here and there, but, like, I know people in their 30s ain't never been on a plane. And that, you got to think about, that's a part of it too. Like, that's a part of it. So I think like-minded people kind of stick together on tendency, but we don't tend to think about things like that. Or you think about when you travel, or I'm sure all of us have reached a point where there's certain people you just stopped inviting on trips. They're not gonna go. You're not coming. They're just not gonna go. What we doing? Like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. there was two things I was gonna say. I know one is funny because going back to our whole millennial thing, I was having a conversation with someone today at work, and she was telling me about her. She had some family members, like out of nowhere, literally no phone call, no text, no nothing. During the middle of the week, ring her doorbell on some, hey, just want to stop by. Can we come in? And she looked at them and said, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And look, us as millennials, we understand it.
Yes, we understand that.
That ain't even wrong. Like, bro, what? Like, how y'all just
like the audacity of you feeling
like Portia said though?
That's a great question. I have no idea when it got like that, how it got like that.
Because the boundaries are truly, I guess, you know, a therapist would tell you that the boundaries are excellent, right? Everybody's supposed to have boundaries. But I think, especially in our community, the Black community, we took boundaries so far that there's no community anymore at all. Because I love children. My friends have kids. I don't know if you're going to be able to call me, say, hey, I want to go out with the hubby. Hey, I want to go out with the boo. Can I drop the kids off? No.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
I don't. But I remember it being a time where my mom being like, hey, me and Wally want to go out. Can I drop Portia off? Sure. You're not dropping the damn kids off over here. I just don't know why. I don't know what happened. And I
remember growing up.
You got to plan that shit.
Growing up, you're right. Like, that's a perfect point in the sense of, I remember growing up in a neighborhood where I would go to my great-grandparents' house. They knew all of their neighbors. Like, they knew, like, their last name. Like, they would, like, hey, this is Mrs. Such and Such. This is such and such and such. And even when I'm walking down the street to go to the store, like, those people would speak to me. Oh, that's such and such great grandson or grandson or whatever it may be. And you knew those people. And it goes to what Portia was saying about community. Now we to the sense of, like, I remember getting dropped off, not because my mom was going out, but just because, okay, all the kids are over here. We're going to drop you off at your auntie house. And that's what y'all doing for this weekend. Like, you playing with your cousins this weekend. Like, you grab y'all bikes. Y'all figure that shit out. To a point where it's like what Portia said, like, there's no way that any of my homeboys can hit me up and be like, hey, man, I'm dropping the kid. Like, oh, bro, you're not dropping your kids off nowhere with me. Like, that's not going to happen. Like,
yeah, nah. It didn't even used to have to be somebody who had kids. Like, I remember hanging with the fun auntie. No.
Facts. Ain't none of that shit happening nowadays.
If y'all listen, we not what it is, let us know. Because I want to know where the boundaries came from.
No,
we're not interested in none of that shit.
No, because this is definitely there's a part 2 that can be made off this, because I think all three of us have legit answers. I mean, legit questions, should I say? And we really want to know when the shift happened, and the things that I don't want to say fought for. It ain't that deep, but the things that we woke up one day and said, "Nah, we're gonna do it this way." Y'all wait, play it out. We're gonna do it this now. I think there has been detrimental, even though we wanted to do it our way. Now it's like, all right, look at y'all. Y'all wanted to do it so bad. There's that famous meme, right? What's the famous meme? Like, y'all wanted to be adults so bad. Now look at you. Now look at you.
Because I think it happened recently too. Because I remember 2017, 2018, still going to the homie's house playing spades till 2:00 in the morning. We don't even do that no more. When the last time you went to a homie's house, play spades, and just kick?
That's a really good point.
How much of it is
on the whim?
Facts.
How much of it is that there's so much the variables for the bullshit that can happen? As soon as you step out your door, maybe we reached a point. Nah, seriously, maybe we reached a point where it's like, I'd rather be inside. Like, you see, Portia, I don't know if you still have.
I'd rather binge this show, bro. I'd rather binge this show than to come play spades with you, even though I know I'm going to get a fulfilling thing out of it, have fun or whatever it may be. But I don't want to risk anything that may happen when I go outside. Like, I don't want to risk none of that shit.
I think that's my fear. We're going to be so lonely. Or
we got to change it. That's
somebody that we really don't like, but there, because we don't want to be lonely.
Yeah. Because I was just going to say, Portia, I don't know if you still have like Cincinnati news apps on your phone or something, but you can get an alert just about there's shit. I woke up this morning or yesterday morning to woman in custody for murdering man in OTR over the Rhine. Like, literally this morning.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's
we started out the year with people getting plowed in New Orleans.
Like it's just wild. Like just and that's what the thing is. You were minding your business. You chilling. Like you on Bourbon Street kicking it, and all of a sudden the car ramming through. Like there's just the odds of. And we don't talk. One thing I'm surprised none of us really brought this up. And I'm sure other generations can make this argument, but man, there's a couple things that I think go into play with us. One, we're in that unique spot where we experience everything from a technology standpoint. So I think there is a certain understanding that our parents were so far removed from trying to understand certain things that they was like, fuck it, y'all got it. Like, that's not for me. Now we understand a little bit of everything. So that's why you have 45-year-olds on TikTok dancing and shit. They understand that and they still feel like, to what we talked about earlier, they still feel like they're 25.
Yeah.
Right? So it's cool for them to do that because we had the first social media. We had MySpace. We had Black Planet. We was on the chat rooms and AIM. Like before y'all was even thought of, we've been doing the social media shit. We had a topic. You know what I mean? So I think like we've had record players, we've had cassettes, we have CDs, we got Apple Music, we got Tidal, right? We've had Nintendo, we've had Sega, we've had Super. We've seen the evolution of everything when it comes to technology. You know what I mean? I remember when we had to memorize people's phone numbers. You had a house phone.
Y'all remember when we used to call in before it was a Clubhouse? Remember, we used to just call a little chat number and talk to everybody in the city?
Yeah.
Bro, I had a homeboy that was like we called him Mr. Chat Room. This nigga would stay on there like so long and we would run the links off him because he would be on there so long and find the chicks and whatever it may be. It's like, bro, where you find her? Chat room, bro. Like he stayed like people knew him on there.
Remember the phrase, you sound like you cute? Yo, we were some sick individuals.
Yeah. We used to be on it. Man. Hey, but all of that plays a factor. All of that plays a factor into things. And I don't know, man. Just times have changed. I feel like there was something else I was going to mention before I got into that whole thing about technology. But either way, I don't know the answers. But it definitely has changed as a world. Because I remember my sister telling stories about her teenage years, and like I remember young, like 14.
How much older is your sister? Like
we got about a 9-year age gap, a little bit over 9 years, right? But she was telling the story. Older. Her and one of my cousins. Something happened. They went skating. Shout out to skating, man. Shout out to Golden Skates, all that shit.
Word.
Yeah, they went skating, and it was always the same thing. When hey, I'll take you. Better figure out a way back. For some reason they couldn't, and they was walking, and they just caught a ride with somebody randomly. Somebody saw them, stopped, said, "Hey, y'all need a ride," and they took them home, and that was it. You couldn't dare think about doing that shit now. Shit, we just did an episode on The Sopranos, Spike, where they had a sign that said, "Hitchhikers may be escaped prisoners." Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just the trust level, and I think all of this ties together. Like Portia said, we all gonna be alone because we started doing things our way and setting boundaries and cutting people off. Now we lose that sense of community that you were talking about, Spike, because now we look at people, we understand things more too, right? Now it's not taboo to go to therapy. It's not taboo for these things and be in touch with your feelings. So now you might understand, like, oh, that person over there is not good news for you versus being your neighbor. Now it's a person with a stigma. So we're gonna stay away from them. We're gonna stay away from them. So now you in your own little bubble.
That's a great point that you stumbled upon there, as far as us being in the middle generation, and probably one of the things that affects us most. We're from that generation. Like, we understand that at one point in time, the hitchhiking was a thing, and it was cool, and people could get away with that, and it wasn't dangerous. But we also are understood enough with technology to understand everything that's going on and how dangerous it is. I think our generation is unique as far as being millennials. Like, we get that old school thought process method of like, for me, I could go out and ride my bike. Like, you leave here at 10 a.m., bro. I don't give a fuck where you at. You ain't got to call me. Just be back by the time the streetlights come on. That's
crazy,
it.
Right? Cool. That's crazy. Like, we be going all day. Parents have no idea where we are.
Ain't no phone number, ain't no call, like nothing. Like, all you need to do is make sure that you're back at this house at this certain point in time. And now we're seeing a generation and kids that are like bro, you can't even walk to the store by yourself. Like I've seen a story not too long ago as to where they arrested the mom because the kid was walking to the store, and I was like, bro, I did that every day. Like, why they arresting her? Like, I walk 2 miles to the store every day. It's no thing.
That was the first sign of you a big kid when you can walk to the store by yourself,
bro.
Nice.
And I hope statute of limitations have passed. Like, my mom left me at home by myself at 8, 9 years old. Like, bro, don't let nobody in this house. Yeah, don't let nobody in this house. When you answer the phone, don't tell nobody you by yourself. Don't try to fucking cook nothing. If you want something, put it in the microwave, and I'll be here at this time when I get off. Like, we understand that, but now we know from all the information that we get, from all the things that happen, how dangerous that is. We didn't understand how dangerous that is. So now we're in this middle point of knowing that generation and knowing that generation. We're like, oh shit, we fucked.
And here's
we can't make no moves off of it.
That's a great point. Here's the last thing that I was going to make. The last point that kind of ties into everything we've been talking about. We talk about that loss of community and us being really just apprehensive to trust people. I think a lot of it, and like I said, every generation can have their own claim to fame. And think about all the wild, tragic shit that we've grown up. Like, to the point where it's a norm. The shit that we've witnessed in our lifetimes isn't normal, right? Columbine, 9/11. Like, all types of just Katrina. Like life-changing, like
DC sniper, Katrina.
The generational, this is only supposed to happen once in your lifetime. We lived through at least 10 of them. Facts. We lived through at least 10 of them. And it's like, damn, this world is crazy. And when you find out something crazy, you like, let me keep it sheltered. Let me be in my own bubble and try to figure this shit out on the way. Like I said, if my sister's generation had gone through a 9/11, Columbine, all that shit, there's no way they would even tried to pick up a ride with somebody because they automatically wouldn't be trustworthy. We're not trustworthy of people because we've learned a lot of that shit. What's up, Portia?
Just a thought. I definitely agree with you, but I wonder why we just haven't adapted to it. Our whole life we've seen government bullshit. We've seen mass shootings. We've seen it. So I guess I just wonder why millennials, why we aren't still outside and doing all of that, because that is our norm. Like, how are we scared of our norm when that's all we know?
I think that's a really good question. I think our adaptation to it is closing off, though. Like what you said, most of us will end up lonely because of the fears of what we think will happen in this world. I think how we've adapted to it is like, I'm just gonna be in my little bubble, bro. Like, I don't want you coming to my house if you not unannounced, like the little meme that I was talking about. Like, nigga, if you come knocking on my door and I ain't expect you, I'm not going to answer the door. I'm gonna duck off in my little hole. And I think a lot of us are dealing with all of the things that we've seen in our generation. We're like, I'm just gonna cut myself off from it. I'm gonna tweet my little tweets. I'm gonna post my IG videos. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna make enough money to survive, and that's cool for me. It's even to the point where it's the lowest birth rate as far as people having babies in America. It's even to the point where we like, I'm not even trying to be in a relationship. I'm not even trying to be with somebody because they may be fucked up and expose me to some fucked up shit. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm good and I survive. Like, we've gotten that from everything that we've experienced as millennials.
I think that's a perfect way to kind of wrap this up and bring it home. Like, sometimes great conversation, and I think one of the most important things for people out there listening, sometimes we ain't got the answer. Sometimes it's a whole lot of questions. I feel like that's what this conversation was. It's a whole lot of questions, and that's where all the bookworms come into play. I truly feel like this can be a conversation that's extended, because I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts on this. We'd love to hear from people from Gen Z. Love to hear from people from other millennials, just to get their thoughts on this. Maybe something that we're missing or we're not thinking about in real time. I'm sure knowing all three of us will probably be putting this to thought even more, and probably share some of those thoughts. And like I said, we have the perfect setup for a part 2. Go ahead, Spike.
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you what I love about this conversation, because sometimes as a millennial, you feel like you're the only person that feels like that. But us having this conversation, and knowing that like I'm not the only one that feels like this as far as where we are as our generation of people, it really feels good to talk about.
Yeah, man. Steve from Blues Clues dipped
community back.
Facts, man. Steve from Blues Clues just dipped on us one day, right? Just chucked deuces and never said nothing, man. Our trust issues are fucked up out here.
Facts.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. So this is a great conversation. Portia, you stupid. This is a great conversation. Always look forward to more of these. Portia, this is an incredible topic to really talk about. The fact that you even took sick ass academics and really found a great conversational or a conversation piece.
I'm
from
glad
that.
we have to talk about it a lot.
Yeah. I'm really happy. The first thing Portia said was, I don't want to talk about.
I'm glad this one about him, but it was a platform.
Yeah, but no, this really was, because out of all the things that I've sat back and reflected on, this is the first time I've really sat down and thought about this and really even put attention to it. So, and I'm gonna
had a conversation with people who are like thought forward people, and as far as like, damn, where did that come from? And us still being like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like I do not know, bro. And I'm looking forward to the text that I get, the responses that we get from awitb2022@gmail.com, as far as people just responding to like, where do y'all think it came from? Because it's a genuine curiosity of mine as far as like, why am I like this?
Yeah, that's real, man. So we'll hopefully not only that, but also the freaks out there, man. This is should have said this at the top of the episode, a good crossover episode. I believe this is going to be posted on the Frequency feed as well. Yep. Just kind of that crossover. So hopefully some of the freaks out there can come over and be bookworms. Some of the bookworms can go over and be freaks.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah. Just build this. I really genuinely, this is call to action. We said it before. Please hit us up. Please write in. Please DM, whatever the case is, because I want more answers and more thoughts on this whole conversation, and we'll take it from there.
So yeah, freaks, what y'all think? Millennials, how are we feeling? Are y'all okay? Are we okay? Because honestly, after that convo, I still got questions. But like we said, that's what makes a conversation worth having. And we want to hear your thoughts. So tap in. Let us know what you think. Keep the discussion going. Make sure you check out Another Week in the Books. You can follow them on Instagram at Another Week in the Books, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, you can find The Frequency on IG, The Frequency Podcast 2. Hit up the Facebook page, or email me at thefrequencypodcast2@gmail.com. You already know I read those emails. Don't be shy. All right, that's it for this one. Until next time, keep the vibes high, the energy right. It's 2025, baby. Take care of yourself. It's a lot of shit going on. And I'll catch y'all next episode. Mwah.